Hello, 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 everybody. This is Tyler James, and we are live for a special pop-up comic creator mastermind session. If you're checking out the replay, thanks for watching us, and let us know where you're watching us from. But what we're going to be doing here on this live session is we are going to be doing a mastermind session. Now, some of you, the mastermind session concept might be familiar. For others, this might be something that you've never really seen before, or seen it, or seen one of these in action. And so, what I really hope to do here is give you a sense and a flavor of what a mastermind is. But the idea, or the core concept behind a mastermind, is that it's a group that can offer brainstorming, education, accountability, and support in a group setting, with the goal to sharpen either your business or your creative or your personal skills. And there are masterminds in literally all kinds of niches and all walks of life and all industries. And the goal really here is to have sort of a group that can help you and wants to see you succeed. And you also are able to take your unique strengths and talents and give those to the group. And as a result, everyone sort of benefits. And now what you're going to see tonight, however, is what's called a pop-up mastermind. And what's unique and fun and exciting for me about pop-up masterminds is this is a one-time event. All right. Usually for pop-up masterminds, these creators don't know each other or haven't had a lot of time spent with each other. And in fact, this is a group that I assembled from the greater comics launch audience. And, there was, a few dozen creators that sort of applied and submitted awesome topics for this discussion. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to pick and assemble a great set of topics and a great set of creators that bring diverse viewpoints and experiences and challenges to the group, to make just a really interesting and hopefully informative and valuable experience for everybody. And what's cool about just mastermind sessions is I guarantee you, if you are a creator, if you're a comic creator, if you're a comics launcher, if you're interested in the world of building audiences, creating awesome projects and launching them to those audiences using a crowdfunding platform like Kickstarter, I guarantee you at least one, if not all, of these challenges are challenges that you have either experienced before, are experiencing now, or will experience at some point in your creative career, because these are sort of universal things. And so even if you are not one of the creators that were selected or picked for this group today, then I guarantee you that you're going to get some value out of what we discuss here in the moment. And even though this is a one-time event, and even though these creators don't know each other, this is still usually are going to be highly valuable experiences and a lot of fun. So in the comments, if you're watching, just let us know where you're watching from, and all the creators that are here tonight will let us know where they're watching from, or where they're calling in from as well, so that you can get to know them a little bit. Now, a pop-up mastermind is a little bit different than the comics launch mastermind, which you may have heard me talk about in the past, or you may have seen an ad that I've run or got an email about. And so you may be wondering, what is the comics launch mastermind? Well, the big difference between pop-up masterminds like this versus the comics launch mastermind is the comics launch mastermind is a group that commits to getting together and meeting on a regular basis for at least a 6-month commitment. Now, I'd say about 65–70% of the creators in the Comics Launch Mastermind have been with us since some of them since the beginning, or at least a year and a half. And it is the kind of thing where relationships can be built over time. And so that is one of the advantages of being in a mastermind that is extended. You really get to have a deep connection with creators and build strong relationships over time. And so I'm going to actually be doing a full-on information session that answers all the questions that you might have about the Comics Launch Mastermind, to see whether or not it might be something that you'd be interested in joining this year. We will be re-enrolling again this month. Applications will actually open up on June 11th, shortly after this the next info session, and I will then be the new groups will start meeting in July. And so if you're interested at all in this concept, if you like what you see here and you're like, yes, I need this on my schedule for the rest of 2020 to make the most of it, I encourage you to go to comicslaunch.com/master. Get interest. Then you can attend the live info session or catch the replay of it, which is going to be this Thursday, and you'll find out all the details and you'll get the link to the application after that. All right. So with all of that said, I wanted to just introduce you to some of the creators that you're going to get to know tonight in this session. Tonight, we will be joined by Matthew Childers, who is an art director, a designer. He's an artist and a comic creator. Ejob, who's a publisher and writer. Bitsy Tandem, who is a comics and manga writer and artist, among many other creative talents that she has. And Rene Pfitzner, who is a comic artist, writer, and animator. If you're new to me, I'm Tyler James. I'm the publisher of Comics Tribe, and I'm the founder of Comics Launch and Comics Launch Pro and the Comics Launch Mastermind. And so I've been running mastermind groups like this seriously for over 3 years now. And I've, I really love it. It's one of the favorite things that I get to do in this crazy creative journey that I've been on. And so I appreciate all of you tuning in for this. And I really strongly appreciate all of the creators that are involved in tonight's session, because they're all going to be doing a hot seat. And unlike most mastermind groups, usually the deal is in a mastermind, what happens in the group stays in the group, right? What happens in the mastermind stays in the mastermind. And the reason for that is a lot of creators are sharing, their struggles, their sensitive information, their key strategies, and they're trying to do it in a safe space. And that's really what the Comics Launch Mastermind tries to provide. But tonight for this pop-up mastermind, these creators have been willing to bring like a real challenge and sort of open up about a real challenge that they're facing in their own creative businesses to all of you and make those public. And so I want to acknowledge them for being willing to do that. And one of the core aspects of a mastermind is this concept called the hot seat. So what you're going to see tonight that each of these creators are going to do is they're going to do a hot seat. And the hot seat format that I use is pretty simple, and it's the same for every issue. The first part of it is we're going to identify where and in this phase the creator is going to present an issue or topic about a current challenge that's they're dealing and related to it, and they're going to just explain it. And then the next part is we're going to discuss and clarify. And the reason we do this is because rather than just jumping in and giving advice after hearing what the creator is struggling with or hearing the question the creator has, that's usually the wrong move, because most people, myself included, and I've been at this for a while, rarely will we have enough information to give the best possible advice without probing deeper and clarifying what the real challenge is. And so we'll do about 8 minutes of clarifying and discussing around to probe a little bit deeper. And then the next step will be we'll focus on solving. That'll be brainstorming potential solutions, ideas, and other things that might be able to help the creator. And here the ask for the solve phase is that we're not trying to we're trying to get a lot of ideas out there, and we're not trying to dismiss any right out of hand. But we're really trying to tap into the collective genius of the group. And a lot of times what happens is one person will say one thing that triggers another person to say another, and another thing to say another. And before you know it, you have better options than you would have come up if any one creator tried to give that answer. And the idea of the mastermind is that collectively, the power of the room, the power of the minds in the room are much more powerful than any of those minds individually. And then the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to ask the creator to reflect back what was valuable from this, what strategies that they want to, what actions they want to take, what strategies they want to use, and what they're willing to commit to do moving forward in order to just not let this just be a problem that sits, but rather a problem that we take action on. All right. And so that's what you're going to see tonight. And we have 4 great challenges from 4 awesome creators. And so what I'd like to do right now is to just let the creators in this group, and I just realized that there is. Let's let the creators in this group just briefly introduce themselves and let people know where they're calling in from, and then also where we can find out more to check out more of your stuff. And we'll just go around the horn here, starting with Matthew.
Well, I'm an art director and comic book artist and illustrator. I'm from Tennessee, or I live in Tennessee. I'm actually from kind of all over the South, North Carolina and South Carolina. I mean, I make comics. I draw and I illustrate. That's my thing. You know, I do a little bit of writing now too. I'm actually finishing up a 3-issue series, a book called Moon Hunters that I wrote and I've illustrated. And that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Awesome, Matthew. Well, thank you for being here. Hey, Bitsy, will you introduce yourself?
Hi, guys. I'm Bitsy Tandem. So I write and illustrate comic books in the more Japanese anime style. And I've been doing webcomics for quite a while now and am starting to go more toward the traditional publishing route, I suppose. And I make a cute little comic about a young girl who is a gamer and she is struggling with her personal identity. It's a coming of age story, and it's kind of cool because it goes in between the real world, which is a fake world because I love to world build, and a video game world, which I'm also going to make happen. So many worlds, love making worlds. And I'm super bad with words because I'm dyslexic, so you are warned.
Not a problem, Bitsy. Please, appreciate you being here. Ejob, Nate.
Hello, everyone.
How's it going?
I'm great. I'm Ejob from Cameroon. That's in Africa. A lot of you guys might not know where that is, so I better specify that. I'm basically a comic book artist. I have a startup called Zebra Comics. It's one of the leading startups in Cameroon, in my country, in Central Africa as a whole. I publish comic books. I have over 8 titles published under my brand and 20 more from other African studios. I have a mobile application called Zebra Comics. Unfortunately, it's only available for Android devices. I'm still working on the iOS version for Apple devices. But for those who use Android, you can access it. The thing is, largely in Africa, we use Android, so it was only logical for me to start with the Android version. So we have over 20 plus comic book series running on it, and in my daily life, I'm just a comic book artist. I love telling stories. I've always loved telling stories. I read a lot of comics, both African and American, and manga too. I consume a lot of that, cartoons, animation, video games. I play a lot of video games. So that's me in a nutshell.
Well, thanks for being here. And Rene, round us out. Up, mute.
So,
there we go.
Let's start again. I'm Rene from Melbourne, Australia. I'm so half time I'm a pastor at a local church, and the rest of the time I'm an animator, illustrator, cartoonist, and so I have a comic that I've been updating for 4 years called Sneaky Goblins, and I just started a new comic called Mythic Creature Trainer. So you can find both of those online at tollcraft.com or mythiccreaturetrainer.com. And
did Mythic Creature Trainer just wrap up its Kickstarter, or is it still live?
It's got 1 week to go, but it's funded. So
awesome.
Excited about
it. Yep. And feel free to come back and throw the link in the chat when on the various platforms that we're streaming on. We are streaming on a number of platforms, and the goal is for this audio to also make its way to the Comics Launch podcast because I know that these hot seats are going to be extremely valuable. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I know we've got a bunch of people in the comments, but what we're going to do is we're going to kick off our hot seats now. And so first up is Matthew, and as I said before, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to start, Matthew, by just talking about what's on your mind related to this issue of creating content for non-artists and people who actually want to buy. Can you explain a little bit more about what's on your mind and what the challenge is for you?
Yeah. I mean, to kind of give a little background, and I've built up a decent social media presence, and on my website, I've built up quite a decent, I guess, organic traffic on my website. I've done quite a few blog posts about anything from the best paper to buy to make comics to different kind of tips for penciling and drawing and that kind of stuff. And I get pretty good organic traffic on my website, but none of it converts. None of it. I rarely sell anything as far as like prints or anything like that. On my website, I do sell quite a few, commissions, but a lot of that I know is word of mouth from social media, from people who have done commissions. I do cover commissions, like classic kind of comic cover commissions, and that's 90% of my business. Aside from selling comics at cons, that's 90% of the work that I get, which is not bad. This is probably the best year I've had as far as income from the comic side of things. But I always look at the prints that I have. Like if I go to a convention, I have a set of illustrated prints that I did of like Edgar Allan Poe and H.P. Lovecraft, and my Edgar Allan Poe is probably one of the most famous illustrations of Edgar Allan Poe that you could search for. It comes up in top 10 photos or images of him, and I can go to a convention and sell them all day long. I can sell out every convention. I cannot sell them online. And, I kind of struggle with that style that I do those illustrations in doesn't fit my comic stuff. So there are times where I'm like, is the traffic coming to my website? Is it people who are looking for tips and stuff and other artists who don't want to buy things or don't have the money to buy things? Is it people who coming looking for the kind of comic work that I do, which is more kind of cartoony and or Marvel style? And then I have the prints, which are more illustrative, and they don't fit either of those two markets. Mm-hmm. So, should I even have them on my website? Should I even sell them there? Which I feel like I should, because when I go to conventions, people see them all the time. They buy them all the time. But I just feel like there's a disconnect with, my art and the audience that I'm bringing in, and I don't know how to solve that disconnect.
Awesome. So thanks for explaining that. And what we want to do now is probe a little bit deeper. And this is a little time for the creators in here to just ask questions of Matthew to find out a little bit more information. And so just if you have a question for Matthew, just speak up and let's fire a few at him.
Yeah. So did you say that you were selling your comics on your site as well as the prints?
The comics that I have on there, I've actually sold out of one, which was I sold out of it at conventions. I had it on my website, but I sold out at conventions, so I don't have it. And then I have some digital comics that I have on the site, which currently I don't know if I'm actually selling them through the site. I am selling linking to Comixology to sell the digital versions there. But I did have the digital versions at one point on my site, and they didn't sell. The book that I'm finishing up, I've got the 3 issues. I have sold a few from my site of that one, but I had to kind of stop because it was picked up by Action Lab, and they wanted the whole series finished before they went to print for that, and they didn't want me printing any more of those. So.
Mm.
Bitsy, do you have any questions for Matthew?
I was going to ask, you said you have a pretty good social media following. I was wondering which platform you would typically post on and get a lot of interaction in, and where your people might be trickling in from.
My people, as far as interaction, I think Twitter and Facebook are my top 2. I've seen a lot more growth in Facebook in the past year, but my Twitter was the one to grow first. And I get more commissions from Twitter because I have a pretty really staunch group, like small group that is very adamant about spreading the word of my commissions on there. So I can post one commission on there, and the next thing I know, they're all spreading it around, and then I get another one. So that's pretty frequent, and I'm happy with that. It's just it's hard to grow that anymore because it takes so long to do one of those commissions. Whereas a print is a piece that if I can sell it, I can sell multiple versions.
So,
Go ahead, Ian.
if I may ask you, do you have a problem selling more of digital or print? I don't know. I get the impression that you're struggling more with prints. I don't understand.
Printed pieces. I have several pieces that I've done that I have actually printed up. I even have a setup on my site for some of those prints to be drop shipped, and that's been a bust completely. That they just don't even touch that.
So the goal here is to rapidly increase the amount of prints that you're selling, right? Would you say
that'd be ideal? Yeah.
Okay. Because it's important, I think, to focus in or to know what you're focusing on, because as you said, you sort of have a different product mix and a different audience, and then the content that you're creating isn't necessarily content that's created to sell any product in any individual product, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. When you when you're talking about sales mechanism for this, are you basically just talking about wanting people to discover your website, come to your website, and buy it just on any given day? Is that the goal?
Well, I mean, I've tried doing the whole funnel system. I've done things where I've done articles about, let's say, for instance, my Edgar Allan Poe print that I have, which again, it sells like gangbusters at conventions. I don't have to sell that. I could put it up and someone sees it, and I can sell sometimes 20 or 30 at a convention. But the traffic that I try to get to my website, I've done ads, paid ads, just cold paid ads, which I know hardly ever works. I've tried doing articles about Edgar Allan Poe, getting people traffic there, trying to get them in my funnel, and then going back and doing retargeting. That doesn't work. I've done things. I've got a mailing list of over 6,000 people, and I can't get them to buy it on things like that. So it's just a struggle all around as far as prints go. And again, I know that at conventions I can sell them all day long. I know there's an audience there, but I don't know if the struggle is that they're not able to hold it in their hand, or if there's something else I'm missing.
When was the last time you surveyed your audience of 6,000 people?
Well, I mean, a survey, like a long survey, I've not done that. Short questions, I ask questions all the time. Well, not all the time. I try to deliver content, 2 or 3, emails, and then I'll ask a question. But again, getting a response, sometimes it just doesn't seem like it happens I feel like it should.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions before we move to some ideas for Matthew?
If I may ask, do you have any particular bestsellers or things that really sell well from your stock?
Well, from my website, again, private commissions sells all the time. I mean, I get one a week at least. And those are my, I guess they run about $225 a piece. So, I make more money off those than I would prints, like by selling one, but I can't sell those en masse because they're custom pieces. But as far as prints go, the Edgar Allan Poe print is the one that has sold the most on my website, but it's barely marginal at that. I mean, we're talking maybe, if anything, 2 prints a year on my website. Again, at a show, I could sell the same print. I could sell out 20, 30 prints.
And Rene, did you have a question?
No, I think I was just going to ask, do you know of people who are doing this well and succeeding in it? And have you asked them how they do it?
I have watched, there was a guy that was on a podcast that I watched that was succeeding very well at doing it. And I tried to pick up some tips from him and it didn't really work. But I probably could, ask more people. I probably could try to find out if there are more people that are succeeding at that.
Great. Yeah. All right. So what I want to do now is we're gonna sort of go around the horn and just share ideas. And this is a chance for Matthew to just listen and absorb and share what's coming up for you in terms of ideas to solve this problem of selling more prints online. And that could be from any of the angles that we've talked about, or just other ideas that you have. Who'd like to start?
I'll go ahead and
All right.
start.
Yeah.
So, you have physical stock, yeah? It's not drop shipping
Yes, I have physical.
for your prints. I've noticed from my peers who do a lot of print work that the people who sell the most for prints always do like really special packaging and really take some fun pictures. And I mean, I follow anime artists, so they make everything cutesy. It's like you're not just buying the print, you're getting the whole experience of the artist preparing the print for you, filming the process, taking pictures of the process, putting in little add-ins, signing it, and then sending it off in like very themed envelopes and everything. And people love it. They seem to just eat it up. They're like, I didn't just get this print, I got this whole artist's aesthetic. And I've seen that to work the best, but I personally don't sell very many prints either.
Something I want to piggyback off what Bitsy just said is making a big deal out of selling or prepping a print in your marketing can always help sell more. And I'm not sure what you're doing to build your mailing list, but it could be that the people that are signing up for your mailing list aren't necessarily print fans. Like I'm a big comic fans, but my wife is in charge of everything that goes up on every wall in our house. And so I'm not, I never buy prints. I don't, whereas there are other people that buy prints all the time. So one idea I have for you just off the top of my head is one of the ways people might get, or one of the reasons why people might get on your mailing list might be to that once a month you do a draw of for a print of that month's specialty prints, which could all just be your backlist. And then once a month you're making, a little bit of a deal about, the signing, the numbering, the thing. This goes out to this person, and while I'm at it, here's a special. We're doing a special on this one, and it's sort of like if you can build a little bit of a system around it, that hopefully adds print fans to your mailing list, and then makes it clear that you're actually doing some stuff around the sales of a print. Rene, ideas?
So just riffing off that is that that was my thought. What are people getting on your email list for? And is it segmented? So I don't know, are you able to identify people who got on for the prints who found you at a convention, loved your print, or they're just interested in your comics and commissions. And just again, what Bitsy said, the people that I'm aware of who make prints and sell them well, off the top of my head, Martin Abel and Jake Parker, they make just a big deal of showing the whole process from the very beginning of the way they make it. Is that they show little process things all the way through, and then they have videos of it going to print and coming off the presses and stuff like that, and of course presentation, photography, that kind of thing. Actually having it in a frame, and I know Martin Abel's wife takes the photos, so she dresses them up and makes them look great and that kind of thing. So otherwise, sorry, I don't have a heap of experience, but that's just what comes to mind.
Having that info. Go ahead. I was just going to say, just one sec. I was going to say, and having, if you are creating that sort of materials, having that on the sales page along with it can just, it makes it feel less like just another picture on the internet and more like, hey, this is a piece of art and I can own it for just X number of dollars. Like, that's no brainer. EJ or Ian.
I've been following a studio. I think it's Coffin Comics or something like that, with the Lady Death series. And if you see how he handles his marketing, it's pretty much what Betsy was trying to insist on. I'm just adding more light to that, in the sense that he makes it a big deal. He really makes it appear a big deal. All the printing process, how it goes into the factory. This is a lot of videos have to come into this as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be long. It's just what I think should take place. I just think you can do a lot of short videos and use your Twitter or Facebook, which social media platform works best for you, so that those who follow you, because they follow you for a reason. And I don't know why I would follow someone if I'm not particularly interested in a bit in what they're doing. So I think that you should make it a big deal. You should really make it a big deal, and you don't necessarily need to put a lot of money in art. I've tried some paid art too. It doesn't work, honestly. And engaging with people one-on-one is really something that people will appreciate, and then they will get back to you for that. That's what I think. That's really what I think.
Yeah, I'd say cold traffic, cold ads to a low priced, to a lower priced product is tough to make work. It's possible, but it's tougher to make work. Cold ads to build your list, that to warm them up down the line, and then launch it if it's the right audience. I've that's how I've grown my business. But one of the questions or ideas for you is, and I know my buddy Joe Mulvey does a great, he gets a lot of commissions from social and things, and every commission he is upselling. Hey, I'm shipping this commission. It's going in a nice case. I can slip one of my signature prints. I will give you, it's 2 for the price of 1, or what have you. The easiest people to sell are people that are already in, and the difference between $250 and $225 or whatever, I don't know what your pricing structure is, but at that price point, it becomes a no-brainer to save, to get free shipping and to also get an additional print from somebody you like. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have that in your follow-up script or sequence, adding that for a month or two, and just seeing what happens, or seeing how you can put an offer there, may really help out. Any other ideas? The other thing I would just add is also, one of the biggest challenges with that you're facing is the same challenge every store front on the internet faces, and that's the why buy this now question. And one of the reasons why Kickstarter works so darn well is because there's that ticking clock, and it's a public display, it's an event. And so rather than just waiting for things to come in and happen, it's great when it does, but you know, I saw a creator that I'm good friends with do an awesome job doing an online print sale / launch where he was offering special stuff, some new stuff, some back stuff, but he really treated it the same way. He did it on his own online shop, but he treated it like it was a Kickstarter launch in that, you know, he was setting some targets. There were some surprises along the way, some new unveilings, and he really did treat it like an event. And so sometimes to get a different result, you got to take extra action there. Final thoughts?
I suppose
Yeah, go
the
ahead.
only other thing was, that having that limited time and do some kind of offer. I think Ejob might have mentioned that. So one week you get this with this. I know some people talk about discounting their stuff, but from what I've seen, Tyler, you talk about that. You know, that's generally not a good strategy. But creating additional value, like I'll draw a little sketch for you with it, or something like that. Yeah.
All right. So Matthew, reflect back to us a little bit. What ideas resonated with you, and what actions might you try to get things moving in the right direction?
Yeah, honestly, I think the first thing that Bitsy had brought up, and you kind of went into more detail on about making a big deal out of the packaging. I actually, when I do my commissions, I actually do like these kind of, not elaborate, but I do make a big deal out of the way I package it up, and I write little hand signed notes and everything and send to them. So I've even toyed, that kind of went through my head at one point, and I don't know why I never did it, but that's something that I think I could easily do, is make some videos showing how I take care in packaging things up. And then I like the idea of the giveaway, because I feel like that's something that if I did something like that and someone got something for free, then I could maybe kind of hit them back up for like, hey, I'd like to get like a video, what you think of the piece kind of thing, which is something I can put back on the site. Those kind of video testimonials are very important, I think, in sales pages. So those two things kind of really resonate. And I honestly, all the other ideas I think I may end up putting into effect too. So no, I appreciate that. That's awesome.
That's great. And thanks everybody in the chat for posting in some comments and some additional ideas. We'll make sure that Matthew goes back through and checks those out as well. Is there something that you'll commit to this group and to everybody watching online, some action that you'll commit to taking in the next 7 days to just move things forward?
Well, I'm going to be making a video about put things together. I can tell you that. That's going to be the easiest thing for me to do. And I do think that I really need to look more at a strategy of how to kind of make my prints a little more bring in the timeliness of it. I've kind of toyed with the idea of doing limited edition prints, like either one a month or one every couple months, and making a big deal out of that, and only having them available for a certain amount of time, at least per year.
Yeah, it is definitely one of the most valuable, one of the most easiest strategies, that if you want to sell more, sell less.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, the prints that I have on my site now, the ones that I do well at with conventions, I've really I've put so much thought into this, and it kind of gets to the point where you're like overthinking things at times. But I have thought that, several of them would do really well around October. They're perfect Halloween gifts. And I'm like, maybe they need to be more Halloween gifts and not something available, 365 days a year. Yeah.
Yeah. And having some key dates, like, the Poe's birthday week, or, this is the week The Raven came out for or was first released, or just giving just a little bit of an extra reason why now. And as a user from Facebook said, the story behind the prints, make sure that your audience knows how you feel about the prints, why it's important to you, what's the story behind it, what's the story that they can tell when someone asks them about that awesome print. Oh yeah, well, you know, did you know the artist did X, Y, and Z? That can be absolutely huge.
Okay.
Awesome, Matthew. I think this was a great way to kick us off. So I really do appreciate you being in the hot seat first, and now you can cool off and share your expertise with the rest of the creators, because we're going to jump in we're going to jump over to Ian right now. And Ian, you have a backer related question. So you want to tell us what's on your mind?
I did a Kickstarter campaign last year. I was in the UK back then, and well, I'm usually back and forth between that and my country. So I did a Kickstarter for one of my comic book series called Anarchy. I had a successful first Kickstarter. I was quite surprised myself because I didn't really think I had a following. So my question is, I've been scared to get back on Kickstarter ever since. The fear never left me. The fear never really left me that maybe I was just lucky. Or how do I get more backers to follow me on my next campaign, to back my next campaign? Because this my first campaign was pretty much a test run. So I want to go bigger. I really want to get more prints out there, because if you have noticed, my background is more with digital content. That's what we consume a lot in Africa here. For now, we consume a lot of digital content. But I really wanted to get more prints out there. And that would definitely mean I have to go bigger with my Kickstarter. But since last year, I've kind of been scared to do another Kickstarter, because I'm not sure really how to get more backers to my already list of my already few email list. So that's really my problem.
Great. All right. Let's Matthew, do you have any questions for Ian?
You know, do you have a website with the Facebook Pixel, you know, I guess, installed? That's my first question. Okay. And I guess, do you communicate with the people who backed your first Kickstarter through Kickstarter? Like, I mean, do you kind of keep them updated on what you're still doing as far as like through Kickstarter? Because I know that you can go back to old Kickstarters and still post to those. And okay.
I do have a website, www.zebracomics.inc.com. Most of our latest products are released there, but most of my products are on my mobile application. I spoke to you earlier about the Zebra Comics. As far as that is concerned, I do keep up with consistency in publication. My problem is not creating content anymore. We do have a huge chunk of content already available. As far as keeping in touch with my my backers is concerned, I pretty much do that probably once a month. I don't know how good that is. I don't know if I'm not being consistent enough. Probably that's it. I'm not. I do email them from time to time on progress about Zebra Comics, not necessarily about the project they backed, because that was already done and delivered. So I do keep them updated, but not as regular as I think I should. Probably once a month. I also have to deal with the fear of not overbugging people with emails. So I don't know. That's really how I handle this.
Okay. Bitsy, any questions for Ian?
So you've got all this good content, you've got all your, publications going. You've got a solid base ground. How do you interact with your new fans? Do you have a social platform on your app? Do you have a comment section? How do you get talking and building those relationships with the new people coming into your content?
As far as communicating with my community in particular is concerned, I do that mostly through Twitter and Facebook. I have about 6,000 followers on Twitter, on Facebook right now, and about 2,000 on Twitter. I do keep in touch. The thing is, a lot of these guys, they don't buy. They don't really buy the content. So it doesn't really matter how many followers I have if they're not really buying. My concern is really about developing my getting new backers who actually can back our projects. As far as my mobile application is concerned, I do have 1,000 plus active users every month, so it's not really bad. It's actually something. Most of those are from Africa itself. So I have 1,000 readers from Africa every month who go through about 20 comic book series on the mobile application. But as far as getting the thing is, on my mobile application, the comics are really cheap. They're really because the truth is, the African reality is that we can't really afford to get a lot of print content out there. We don't have a strong base as far as distribution of hard copies of comics are concerned. So when in the UK, for example, that's when I really launched my campaigns to get hard copies out there. So I'm more concerned. I'm really more worried about how to get more backers to believe in our project. And it's my concern is really how to get new backers, really.
Okay. Rene, questions?
Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about, you mentioned fear of launching a new campaign. Is that fear that you need a certain amount of funds and you won't reach that target, or fear that it'll just be a little bit of a fizzer compared to your first one?
It's fear of reaching my target. The thing is, I have a steady group or email list of people I email once a month, like I said earlier, my former backers. The thing is, I want to go higher. I want to go to bigger goals. I want to get more prints out there. With my first campaign, I initially wanted to do it as a graphic novel because I had all 5 issues ready. But at the end of the day, I realized that facing my realities, I was still new in the game, and as far as crowdfunding is concerned, so I pretty much could not raise enough to do a graphic novel version. So I pretty much went with issue 1. So I pretty much went with the first issue, and I was able to raise funds for that. But personally, I consume more of graphic novels, and I really wanted to get this as a collection of all the issues out there, which would definitely mean that I will have to have a bigger campaign, which would definitely mean I will need more backers. So that's really what I'm dealing with. So it's a fear of, will this campaign really be funded if I'm going for maybe say $10,000? Will I really get the backers for this? So that's really the fear I'm dealing with.
So you launched your campaign for issue number 1. It was successful. What's stopping you from just launching for issues numbers 1 and 2? And serving serving the backers that they came out, they supported you, you had success. They're ready for the issue 2. And then there's a lot of people that have never heard of Zebra Comics or didn't hear or missed the first campaign, would probably love to grab copies of issues of issue 1 or issue 1 and 2. What's stopping you from just launching, that as the next step?
James, that's a very good question. It's really a good question.
I think I'm looking at what's stopping you. It's you.
Yeah. It's a good question. It's funny to say nothing really is stopping me other than my love for graphic novels. That's really
What's
it.
stopping you from launching it? Is the whole series complete?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is. I have 5 issues complete. It's a volume of five issues. I have the first 5 complete. So I will have really. It's all about what I read. I really want the readers to get the story in its entirety, to really enjoy the entire story. So I could easily do issue 2, 3, 4, 5. I could do campaigns for all of those. But that might also mean a lot of Kickstarter campaigns too. And it's really me just wanting to give more at the end of the day, not really about not being able to do issue 2 or issue 3, or it's really about me just wanting to give more to my backers. And that's just it. I could do the issue 2, I could do issue 3, I could do right up to 5, I could do Kickstarters for all of those. Yeah, I could do that. But I was looking more for a way to give out more at once, like in a trade paperback format or something. So yeah, that's pretty much each.
Great. Are there any more questions for Ian before we hit him with some ideas? All right. So the challenge here is how I think we've unlocked that the challenge isn't just how to keep backers for the first successful launch and get new backers, but also, what to launch and how to get over the fear of what could happen with the second launch. Ideas. I mean, Rene, you just, I think you're 3 Kickstarters in now.
Yep. Yeah,
three successfully funded campaigns. What advice or tips or ideas do you have for Ian? And Ian, we're going to ask you to listen as we all hit you with some stuff, and then we'll come back to you for what you've taken in and what you're going to do.
Yeah, so I can totally sympathize with wanting to just get the graphic novel out there and not, because that's my preference as well, reading everything at the one time in the book. So, so my first Kickstarter was the graphic novel. Then I did a one shot, and now I'm starting to serialize a 4-part story, and then eventually, hopefully, take that to graphic novel. So I was quite resistant to that idea. I turned it over in my head, this idea of doing 4 smaller campaigns before the graphic novel. And in the end, I just thought, well, launching Kickstarter is a great way for new people to find, you can, as well as bring your true fans along with you. I mean, I think with the first one, you get a lot of support from well-wishers, friends and family, that kind of thing. So you get that extra boost, which you shouldn't have to rely on further down the line. But so I felt the fear, and I went and did it. And so time will tell whether it pays off. And maybe I might have to settle for smaller print runs down the line. But yeah, that's just what I'm. Yeah, I'd encourage you to do the same if that sounds doable. Yeah.
Great. Bitsy, ideas for Ian?
I definitely hear where you're coming from. I am in a similar boat, really kind of nervous to launch another Kickstarter because you want a lot of money, and it just seems like too much to ask for your fans, But I think, well, is it better to try a big one and fail, or to do small ones that will be successful? I think you kind of have to ask yourself if you want to just go for it, and trust your fans and trust that they'll come through for you, or do smaller print ones, and maybe after you've done one for every single one and you've built up significant experience, then be like, hey, I want to put all these into a big one. Now let's do this major one and get this bigger, novel out to you guys. So don't have too much experience. I've only done one Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm. Matthew, any thoughts for Ian?
Yeah, I really think that were it me, and you know, I've backed quite a few Kickstarters in my time, but a lot of the times I do little bite-sized chunks with Kickstarters. Like I'll see a new Kickstarter, I'm like, you know, that looks interesting. I'm not sure if I'm willing to put, you know, $30-40 into the graphic novel or whatever it is. I'd rather get like the digital copy or maybe even just a single issue. I think that's a good way. If you break it into the smaller chunks, it's a good way to build up your audience for that bigger launch later on. And, you know, because, you know, you're going to get people, if they're enjoying the single issues, you're going to get people who are going to want to buy that bigger piece, especially if maybe you do something like when you build up to the trade paperback, adding an extra chapter in or something, or like some making it somehow a little bit different. Like you could do the single issues with particular covers, and then when you do your trade paperback, have those included inside, but have a different cover or something for the front that's all new and unique. And like I said, having like maybe like a 5-page extra story or something, something that kind of makes it different. But yeah, I think breaking it up in little small chunks. Here's the good thing is that with Kickstarter, you can do a campaign, and if you fail, you can figure out what you did wrong and change it and do it again. You know, you don't have to worry about failure because, you know, you can keep trying and you can build that audience. But I think that if you've got that fear, I think keep it small and build up. That's the beauty of comics, because there are people who like reading the smaller issues and tasting the waters, so to speak.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. I mean, there is the only way you fail at Kickstarter is if you don't hit your goal and then you throw up your hands and leave the platform for good and go put your passions and your creative in the toilet and decide it was you. Like, you will either get one of two options. You will hit your goal or massively exceed it, or you won't, but you are going to learn so many lessons that are required so that you ultimately and eventually hit that goal. That's the way you have to go into and look at it. And, you know, I'm seeing some questions and things like, you know, floppies or trades, what's better on Kickstarter and other options. The reality is, like, there is no right or wrong. There is no better, but what you choose will have different outcomes, will produce different results. So if your goal is more total funding and more total backers, the right answer is more launches. And you can look at plenty of examples of creators like Charlie Stickney is an obvious one, but Kevin Joseph. These are creators that and have serialized their books, and every time they launch, they bring back a section of backers from their previous launches, and they pick up new backers. And they also have recognized that, you know what, it's okay to launch individual issues and do individual launches for each individual issue and come back for a trade. And people can even come back again for another trade with, you know, a souped up edition or a toy to go with it, or to keep building up that brand and that asset and adding to it. So, you know, it is your choice. Now, if you actually have no interest in singles and you want to get right to the trade, and you have other projects down the line, and you don't want to be spending the next year serializing this release, then, you know that you can launch the graphic novel version. It'll almost certainly raise significantly less money than what you would raise if you launched individual issues and then a graphic novel. But the funding and the time to build up the backer list over time, you know, might not be more important to you than just getting that ideal product that you've had in your head for a while. So that's a decision for you to think about and ruminate on. But it will be, I'm looking at your last campaign. It looks like you raised 12, close to 1,300 pounds, 59 backers for a single issue. You figure if you had the same exact backer count and the project raised about twice as much per backer, and that's usually what happens when you go from a single issue to a graphic novel, then you would have raised around 2,600 pounds. Which is probably not what you need to do the full graphic novel. You probably need more. So that tells me that it would be a pretty big jump up between your last launch, which was that was last year, and this one. And so if you did not have a significant increase in engagement or fan base or email list or other the metrics of the platform, going from 1,200 to 10K might be too much of a jump for me to be comfortable with. Not that it hasn't happened. I've seen people do that in our program. It's just about, getting the right things in alignment, but that would be something that I would be interested in. The other thing that I would say is, if you aren't already making the first issue of the series that you want to serialize available, like a stripped down version of it, a digital version of it in exchange for an email list, to getting on your email list, to get people into your pipeline, to warm them up to the Zebra Comics world. Usually the only reason why projects have a sophomore slump is because they try to launch the second issue to the same exact audience as the first issue. And then, as Rene said, they don't get all of the family that comes back, but they didn't do anything to grow the audience between issue 1 and issue 2. But the great thing is you can use issue 1 to grow that audience once you have it in mind and in place. And because comics is this, collector world, like people will buy multiple versions of a book that they've already read. Like, we all know this, we've all done this. And it's true on Kickstarter as well. So actually giving away a free full version of the issue, usually leads to more sales, not less. Okay. I want to see if there's any more ideas or thoughts for Ian before we jump back to him and see what's on his mind now. Any additions?
I wouldn't mind saying, because I think you said that you communicate with your backers maybe once a month. I'd push that up to once a week. There's some creators that communicate, several times a week. And, if you're communicating, content that they enjoy, then, they're gonna eat that stuff up. So I would at least push it up to at least twice a month, but if not once a week. That's my thing.
Okay. I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I've listened to what everyone has said. I've also been following the comments on Facebook, and I think I'm going to go with the single issues for now, and also improve on my communication with my former backers, and I will launch campaigns for the other remaining 4 issues, so that I can grow my audience from there, and probably in the end, my audience will be big enough for me to launch the trade paperback of it. And I'm also going to take in, I'm also going to add an extra chapter from the second volume, so to give it a bit of weight, is like William said, and I think that came from William. And it's a pretty good idea, and to make it original in a way, so that the backers know they're getting more with the graphic novel version of it. So I'm going to do that. Thank you, Betsy, too. Those were very great ideas, and I'm going to put that into my strategy going forward from that. So thank you guys very much. I pretty much appreciate all your thoughts, and thank you guys.
Yeah. That's some great things, Ian. And just one last thing that I want to say, just in looking at your last campaign, also looking at your stuff, you're a very talented artist. I would also be using that skill as a talented artist as something that you can do to add value to creators who have bigger audiences than you, that are also have Kickstarter audiences in the form of fan art, pinups, offering to do these things, building that network. And then, hopefully they'll return the favor and share your awesome stuff with their audiences down the line. Crossover pinups, crossover covers, the like. That is an asset that you definitely have, and one that I would be using to use into other people's audiences as well when it comes time to launch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So thanks so much for bringing that up. And so what's one tangible action you're going to take, let's say in the next 7 days, just to move forward on this?
I'm going to talk some more to my backers, and coming August, I'm launching the Kickstarter campaign for Anarchy 2.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
All right. We will keep an eye out for that when it launches. Okay. It sounds like some people in the comments are having fun here with us, enjoying this mastermind session. I will say, this is sort of a pop-up mastermind group. These are the kinds of things that I do run every single month inside the Comics Launch Mastermind group that I do run. So if you are not on the interest list, and you would like to get masterminds and be involved and get your own group and getting your own hot seats and do this with other creators that are sort of at a level that they've been launching and building audiences and have some real skin in the game and real experience and expertise, I encourage you to get on the interest list, comicslaunch.com/mastermind. And then I will also be doing a live info session on Thursday. So I'll come back and find out more details about it and how to apply. All right. All right. We have 2 more mastermind sessions to go. Hope you guys are enjoying this. Bitsy, you're in the hot seat next. So let's see what's on your mind.
Ooh, I am nervous. So for the past few years, I think I started in 2014, I've been building up a webcomic series called Maiden in Disguise about a young gamer girl. And it was gaining a lot of ground. I had it on Webtoon, and last year I did a Kickstarter for the Visitor's Guide to the Planet, because the planet is called the Otera, and I world built the entire history of it, and they've got continents and everything, and it went really well. I did really great with that. But then later last year, I moved to Japan, and I had to go on a very long hiatus, and I kind of lost everything. I have like no readers. I've got like my 5 loyal fans that are always going to be there, but everything dropped. I started posting back on Webtoons, nothing. I said, okay, now's the time to go back and redo my first chapter. So I have been spending the rest of this year on hiatus, rebuilding, remaking the comic. The story and the art and everything from chapter 1 really needed an update, and it's going great, except I still don't have a reader fan base, and I'm preparing to launch on Webtoons this summer, but I just got, what's it called? Not picked up, but interest from a publisher. So
Great.
a small publisher called Saturday AM. They do diverse comics. If you haven't heard of them, check them out. They're really cool, really up and coming, and I do think they've got a great future. But I'm kind of struggling with that. Do I put all this work I've put into, my personal stuff and making it free? And I've started investing into a website. I'm building a place to host my own comics and to interact with my fans on my website, and it's not cheap, and I've been doing it for the past couple months because I didn't think anyone ever would get back to me when I asked if they were interested months and months and months ago. But they are. I had an interview last Saturday, and they really want my comic, and they want exclusivity, and it have to be paid for through their platform. And I keep my rights. They're really nice people, but I just worry about giving exclusivity. Am I limiting myself going with a small publisher, or am I opening new doors going with a growing publisher? And I just really I'm torn. Both options have good potential. Going at my own, relaunching on Webtoon, potentially getting a feature there, Not that I want to sell to the company itself, but then they wouldn't take any rights and they would promote my stuff, and I'm terrible at social media, and they would kind of take the reins on that, and they have deals with toy makers and these things and that things that they're building. And so potentially two great options, fork in the road. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, this is the toughest questions are always the ones where, you know, both sound like potential wins. Let's ask some questions. Rene, you have any questions for Bitsy?
Yeah. So the publisher has the publisher told you for how long they would like it to be exclusive? Like, is there possibly an amount of time that could elapse before you could then post on Webtoon?
Potentially, they did mention that the first issue will be free, and I'm allowed to post my prologue chapter anywhere I want. And it's a comic anthology, so I would make one chapter every quarter of the year to publish together with a bunch of other creators, kind of like Shonen Jump. And I think he did mention something about after a certain length of time, either the price drops or they become free, and I might be able to then post on my website and on Webtoons for free. But generally, they want me as a creator. Like, it's about Maiden in Disguise and that story mixing with their new what's it called? Because they've got like 3 different brands now, one brand and 3 different, like, they've got like one for girls, one for boys, one for like adults. So they want more comics in the girls category, and they want me to create for them kind of exclusively. You know, I could still do whatever I want without Maiden in Disguise, but the real idea, what they really want, is for me to join them and be a part of their company and their group and grow together with them. So it's not really like when Webtoon picks you up and it's a 3-year contract and then you're out. It's kind of more like we want to grow and be something together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And if anyone's looking to figure out what this is, it's saturday-am.com. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. Ian, any questions for Bitsy?
Mike, that's actually a tough one, Betsy. It seems like you have a win on both ends. But there is something I always at times when we ask a question, we usually feel the answer. I don't know if that makes sense. What I will ask you is, when you put everything together, when you take the what it would take to be on each platform, which will best serve your interests? And I think you should look into that too. Which will best serve your interest? That is what I will ask you. And if you can answer that, then I think you pretty much have your answer.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm hanging up. I'm not entirely sure. Like, I'm building this new platform. I'm dumping a ton of my own personal money into my website to host my comics and have a bunch of stuff for my world and an interactive platform, because I want to be like a one-on-one. You know, we can talk together and do this here, and it could be a home base. And if I posted on Webtoon, I could potentially filter over to my website and grow relationships there. Posting for free and having, you know, consistent weekly updates, opposed to once in a while, you know, 4 times a year that have to be paid for. I can see quicker growth through, you know, staying free and staying on my website and building it there. But I do see a lot of creators in that boat who have done that and built a great audience, have hit a wall, and now they're like, so I've got my fans, but that's as many as I'm gonna get. Like, this, we're not moving any further. And I really want, you know, I have really big plans for my multiverse, and I want to be a part of the next Marvel, and I want to move up, you know, the ranks and have more opportunities later on. But making that commitment to do 1 page or 1 chapter 4 times a year feels kind of limiting, and I don't know. Does that answer?
I think what I'm actually asking is, what goals do you have for yourself as a creator? Uh, what goals do you have for yourself as a creator? Is it more fans you want? Do you want to earn money out of this, or what goals do you really have? That is what I am asking. Understand? If you just wanted to have readers and fans, if that is all you want, then maybe webtoon is the way to go. I don't know. I don't know. But my question is really, what do you want? What is your personal goal in this? And what platform will bring that to you? That's the question I'm asking.
It's deep, and the answer is corny. I want to change the world, man. I want people to read my comic all over the world and experience, an uplifting experience that promotes kindness and diversity and, what's the word?
If I may add something, I don't know. Maybe the problem is the publisher is asking for exclusivity. That's right.
Yeah, exclusive content.
Yeah, I get the issue now. A lot of us creators don't really like this idea of giving I, for one, I don't like it. I do have my comics on other platforms, but I don't give them exclusivity because I'm growing now, and I would like to try other platforms to see which one works best for me as a creator. And I know that that's probably what you're struggling with. And you say the publisher is a new publisher, is a startup, or
they've been around for a few years, and the owner said that on a bad launch they typically have around 500,000 readers on a bad launch day, but that's for their main comic, their shonen specific action manga. I'd be in the female oriented release of the digital. It's a digital magazine. Does that make sense? So
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's it's I think they have their own sort of model and readership, which is interesting and definitely different, but probably serving some of the same crew as webtoons, right? The same general audience.
mm-hmm. Yeah, webtoon's definitely more female oriented.
Yeah.
Or women.
Matthew, questions for Bitsy?
Well, I think the first thing that I would do is I would get a clarification on if this particular part of their brand, I guess whatever they release, if they have numbers, find out what the actual numbers for that particular, like the female brand is, like on launch. Because a number for their main comic is not going to be the same, and I would look at that as opposed to whatever numbers Webtoon gets. If you're looking for eyes on the prize, right? Now, the one thing that I would also ask, or at least try to find out, is I think Tyler, you said something about how long this would, like, the exclusivity would last, and if you would be able to keep it. Because this is one of the things, if this world you're building is important to you, is it more important than, again, how many viewers you get? If it is, and you're saying that people are going to see this 4 times a year, are you comfortable with it 4 times a year? Or would you rather it be something you do all year long? And then also looking at, say 20 years down the road, if you keep the rights to this 20 years down the road, can you collect that and turn it into a comic? Because if you can do that and do something printed, so that's the thing that I kind of look at, is that anything I create, unless I'm doing something for Marvel or DC or a big company like that, I want what I create to be something that I can pass on to my kids, that they can print and they can continue to sell or whatnot. I mean, that's the beauty of books, is that whatever I create now will last forever. As long as someone has that book or the files or whatever, they can continue to use it forever. I can pass them through my family. So you got to consider, the longevity of that. So is this a property or something that you're going to continue to have throughout your life? And if you're willing to give up, say, 2 years of exclusivity, that's nothing. That's okay. As long as you get it later on, you can do with it as you please.
That's true.
If it brings you more audience. But if you look at those numbers and it's not bringing you the audience you want, if it's not going to, I'd pass. That's me. But
yeah, and they don't really have numbers for the female-oriented one yet. It's called Saturday Brunch, and it launches this summer. So I would be part of the original group of creators that would be launching this brand new thing on their platform for females. And I've definitely got the female audience. My biggest social media is TikTok. And my analytics, I've got the female audience. They're they're there, but they can't buy anything. They're teenagers, they're 13, 14. They can't pay to read my comic book 4 times a year. What was the other question you said? Oh, yeah, the rights. I would keep the rights. I can still publish physical copies.
Okay.
I can do my own, Kickstarters, but potentially they would help. They could promote it. They'd be like, oh, she's doing this thing for her planet, and it may or may not directly influence this story, but she's one of us, so we're gonna lift her up and help her with that. And I am bad at social media. I have no followers on Instagram or Twitter. So it's kind of that give and take.
Is there possibly a whenever I'm presented with an either or, I'm always wondering, is a both and a possibility? Like you did say that they were more interested in you as a creator than necessarily your one project. I'm just wondering if, like, do you have the bandwidth, or could you create something specifically for them that, and do your own thing as planned? Like if they were bought in on you?
I have the stories for sure. The capability, I would need to hire another artist or an assistant or something. I do not get the funds for my comic books. So potentially later down the line, if I can get a handful of patrons and hire an assistant, yeah, I could do 2 things at a time and have one for free and one for pay. And yeah, that's a good idea. And I could join them and work toward that and do the free one later. That's an idea.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Okay. So I think that's it on questions. I think let's just go, around the horn, ideas, or, and I think this is going to be the kind of thing where ultimately it's going to be, Bitsy's going to have to make a call, but sharing how you think about making decisions and or ideas about a process to figure this out may be helpful. But who'd like to start by throwing some ideas? And there's also some really good feedback and suggestions in the comments that I'm seeing from Facebook and such. So I want to make sure that people swing back and check those out. But let's who'd like to start?
I'll go.
Yeah, so
Let's go Ian and then Rene.
Oh, okay. Betsy, I got the impression you said you're giving the publisher exclusivity, but you can still share your stuff. You can still post on other platform. Then I don't understand what sort of exclusivity that is, because I thought it was like 100%. I don't know. Is it exclusivity? Has it got to do with the IP or what? I need to understand that first before I suggest anything.
That's a good question. So I can do print copies and send them out to the world. They want my chapters exclusively as they come out. So I wouldn't be able to put my chapters for free on Webtoon or other places, but I could potentially still sell them on my personal platform. But it couldn't be for free. I'd have to sell them. And after their issue has released and after a certain period of time has passed.
Okay, then it's great then. I don't know. I think it's okay then. Well, I will go with it if that is what they're offering and that is what their contract says. I think I won't have a problem with it if my goal is to sell my comics and they too want me to sell the comics. They too want to sell the comics, and if we both have the same goals, then I don't see where the problem will be as far as that is concerned.
Yeah, I think for me, my kind of personality is to try something that I haven't done before. So if I've done the webcomic thing and that's gone really well, and here's this other opportunity, I kind of want to just at least give it a go, even if 2 or 3 years down the line I could say, well, that was a complete disaster, or there were some good things and bad things about it. So I would want to dip my toe in the water, and it sounds like there's the potential for a great amount of reach, which you could have down the line take advantage of. Yeah, that's just my first impression.
Matthew, thoughts?
Yeah, I have one question, and I think they'll lead into my idea here. Are you allowed to say post a panel on Instagram or Facebook or something that hasn't been released, yet? Is that something that you're allowed to do?
Like a teaser, yeah, and I can post anything I want on my personal Patreon if it's
Okay.
patrons only. They just don't want my content being for free out there. They want
Yeah.
want to sell it with their people. Yeah.
Well, in that case, because you have you keep printing rights, and I think that I would, because the thing about that I like is like building that consistency with posting things on social media that you're doing. I think that if you're able to break it down into small chunks, like here's a little teaser of a page I'm working on today, or the panel I'm working on, as long as you're able to do that and build up that excitement and kind of say, oh yeah, we're getting closer to the first chapter release, I think you'll be just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that there have been a couple comments in the Facebook about the importance of having an entertainment lawyer, someone that's working on your behalf that does actually do a full deep dive on the contract, because like we've all heard horror stories and seen horror stories of people that subclause A locks their awesome thing up, and everybody goes into contracts with best intentions, but sometimes things don't pan out, and you don't want to be adversely affected down the line, and lawyers are pretty good at traipsing that out. So that would be one thing. It's just about signing anything that's going to give up any rights to the creative work that you do. You want to check that out. Especially, but for me, I do love the idea that you can still launch your own Kickstarters, do your own prints, do your own merchandising around this, and potentially use that platform. I do think looking for growth opportunities like for both personal growth and just getting in front of a wider audience and being a part of the launch of something new. Like it sounds like this is you'd be in the initial slate of the female line. There is a lot of excitement there. It also does sound like you've been pushing rocks up a hill by yourself for a long time related to everything that you're doing with the website and the redesign and the revamp and everything else. And it would be nice to, have some other people that were invested in your vision. So I can totally see the appeal there. So on the flip side, it does sound like you do have a big vision for this. And I would hate to see that vision be watered down because this becomes something that you're expecting, a publisher that is working with dozens and dozens of creators, and it just doesn't get the kind of attention and love that it would need because it's one of many. So there's, that is something to think about as well. And then what's that, Ian?
I just want to add to tell Bitsy, when a publisher says exclusivity, they might tell you by word of mouth that it means this. But like James said, I think you should take. I want to insist on this. You already mentioned it, but I want to insist on probably getting a lawyer to really look at what they mean by exclusivity. You understand? So you might be thinking that they mean this while they really mean something else. So I'll prefer you get a professional opinion on the contract they're going to give you to really see what they mean when they use certain terms or in your particular situation. So I'd like you to take a keen look on that before you sign anything.
Yeah, I'll definitely start looking into hiring some sort of lawyer to even just read through the thing once, or maybe get on that. Isn't there like a legal Zoom? Maybe that.
There's Legal Zoom. I would also, you may have someone, we've had Gamal Hennessy on the Comics Launch podcast, who I know will review contracts for creators. Dirk Vanover as well, is a comics lawyer, and he's written books for comics creators. I know he'll review contracts as well. So there's a couple resources just that I know in our community. Did you have something else that you wanted to point to, Ian?
I do have a legal background. What I actually studied in school was law. I have a bachelor's degree in law, so I can take a keen look on contracts, and I do know how to get a pretty good deal too. If you're interested, I could do it that creator to creator. You just take a look at your contract and dissect it for you to make sure they're not playing a fishy game out here. I do have a keen eye, and with my legal background, it has actually helped me a lot in even setting up my startup, Zebra Comics, and all that. So, if you need some help, creator to creator, I can do that for you. And but if you have a lawyer already, hey, I'm fine. I'm just offering to help.
Yeah, thank you. I don't have a lawyer, but I'll contact you via email. And those other people that you mentioned, if you could put links to their stuff, I'd love to check them out too, and just kind of look around, because I didn't even think about getting a lawyer.
Yeah, and there are some other creators in the chat that have recommendations as well, so we'll make sure that all those get linked up. The last thing that I'll just say, and then we'll turn it back to you for just some thoughts. But in this game, there's no such thing as the right decision or the wrong decision. There's making a decision and then committing to making it the right decision. And mining and extracting as many lessons and as much value out of that path that you're committed to. I think where the worst place to be is on the fence. But again, I think what Ian said about trusting your heart and your gut, and where you think the biggest opportunity for growth, both personally and professionally, is right now for you at this moment in your career. That's where the compass should lead you. And so with that, I want to turn things back to you. Just say, what from this conversation was valuable for you?
Well, this has been really great hearing your guys' opinions. Thank you so much. The fact that everyone's kind of like, everyone I've talked to, you guys, my husband, and you've all kind of told me that I'm not really gonna lose anything because I don't have anything right now, like just my boulders I've been pushing up hills. But I think I do want to, give it a shot. Maybe sign a short contract or something. Maybe because like you said, they didn't seem like they were going to, screw me over. And we'll look at the contract and make sure of that. So I think.
One question: have you talked to any other, or reached out to any of the other creators that are already working with them, and gotten any feedback from them?
I've been following them for as long as I've been making comics. You might have heard of White Manga. He does a lot of YouTube stuff. He's pretty popular. He's their biggest creator, and he's been my friend for a while. We chat all the time. And I mean, he's doing great. They have great plans. Frederick, the owner of the company, talked to me personally about my concerns. And on it, think I've been feeling like going with them this whole time. I've just been scared. I wasn't sure if that was a smart move, but you guys all seem to say that, there's no reason I shouldn't put my toes in the water. And that's been really helpful.
That's great. So where will you be a week from now in terms of making this decision, or at least getting armed to make a final decision, do you think?
I think I will ask them to send me over what their ideal contract would be, so I can look it over and have my people look at it and go from there. See what that contract really entails, and yeah, and if it all looks good, then I'll submit my first prologue and start posting about it and be one of the team.
Well, that sounds awesome, and definitely keep us posted, and excited wherever it ends up. Excited for your relaunch. I know you. This is your heart and soul.
It is.
Great. All right, everybody. Well, we have one more hot seat to jump into, and Rene is down under, and he's our man in Australia here, and you have a great topic that I know a lot of creators struggle with as well. And so I want to just hear what's on your mind related to audience.
Yeah, so I've managed to find an audience for my webcomic enough to support it, to get it into print. And, understanding that there will be some kind of attrition down the line as I go and release more projects, and people will drop off. The question is how can I keep replenishing that readership? And so I know there are good things to do, like getting people onto my mailing list, and maybe advertising will help with that. And just by the virtue of launching Kickstarters, I've already found that new people are finding me there one way or another. So that's been brilliant. And just Tyler, taking your advice of just releasing every year, I think that was one key thing that I didn't want to just disappear for a couple of years and then pop up again with a new project. So yeah, just replenishing that readership, those people willing to support me. And so to that end, I was all geared up this year to go to comic conventions. I went to my first Comic-Con in December, a small one, and another small one in January. And so I had another 3 that I was planning to go to this year. And of course, that's probably not going to happen. So I'm back online and just trying to figure out, well, how do you find people how do you find new people? How do they find you? And, whether it's forums or Facebook groups or other online communities, how to find an audience that will love my work and support it.
All right. Questions for Rene, Matthew.
Yeah. I think do you have a mailing list right now? What's the size of your mailing list? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so it's about 1,000 at the moment.
That's okay.
So there's people who actually open it.
Yeah. I would think about, because I don't know if you have like a Facebook group. I would consider making a Facebook group, inviting the people on your mailing list to join your Facebook group. And something that you can do when you get enough people in your Facebook group and you get enough people in your mailing list is you can import your mailing list into Facebook and start creating lookalike audiences for the people that, like, if the people on your mailing list, if they're a majority of them ones that backed your Kickstarter, you can start making custom audiences of those people that have already backed you before, and it finds people that are like those people. So it increases your chances if you start running ads. I would start doing branding ads to show off what you do in your comic. It would help you build audience of people that are like those people that you already have on your mailing list. That would be my first thing that I would do. If you've got if you get enough people on there, because I think that the the custom audience works when you get to about 1,000 people. If it's below that, it doesn't really work. So the more people you have on your list, the better. So if it doesn't seem to be working at first, I think I would work on making that list even bigger and working on making that list much larger. But that's my 2 cents, I think.
Yeah, cool. I am running ads. I did run ads for this Kickstarter. I put it on for had it running for 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of the campaign, but yeah, I don't know how it works exactly, but I was able to get lookalike audiences. So I was pulling in website visitors and mailing list, and I don't have a Facebook group, but I have a Facebook creator page. So I don't know if that's what you meant. So somehow by pulling all those together, I could make lookalike audiences. So I was getting about 30 cents a click. So I thought that's certainly better than anything I've had before. So I think that was that was worthwhile. Yeah.
Nice. I mean, definitely good tips and ideas, Matthew. I want to make sure that we probe a little deeper questions. Ian, do you have any questions for Rene before we get into more suggestions?
You have an email list of about 1,000 people. I would like to know, are those your initial backers? Are those the people who back your project?
So some of them are. So yeah, at the end of my Kickstarter, I sent out the survey. I said, "Hey, would you like to join my group, my email group?" And so I add the people who say yes, and otherwise, I've got a pop-up on my webcomic that collects emails. I'm also on Insta Freebie, so I've got samples of my books up there. So so while I'm running that, that's a paid subscription. So while I'm subscribed to that, I'm also getting emails from that.
Then I'll pretty much okay. I don't know, James. Should I give a suggestion now or afterwards?
We'll see if Bitsy has any questions. I have a couple questions, and then we'll get into some suggestions. Any clarifying questions for Rene, Bitsy? We lost your audio there for a sec.
I think your audio's off.
My bad. Sorry. So you said you had a pretty good readership right now, and I was wondering, is that on your personal website? Where are you getting most readers and interaction from right now?
So I'm getting a couple of readers on my new webcomic site. Most of them haven't come over from my previous webcomic, so that's it's a little bit frustrating. So
is that
I still
a different
update
site,
the blog
or is that
over.
like Tapas or Webtoon? Is that your personal site, or is it like Tapas, Webtoon? Where is it hosted?
Yeah, so that's tollcraft.com. So that's my site.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've got a small audience on both sites, and I've got the pixel on both of those. So Facebook's keeping an eye on them. Yeah.
Nice. So you're trying to merge them all into one spot where all your readers can kind of get together and hang out and spend more time with them?
Look, I mean, I love that social aspect, and I'd love to do more of that, but really I don't mind if they're all in different places. I mean, I know everyone's got their own thing that they want to do. Yeah, so I don't really care if they're on all different sites or all together. Yeah, so I don't mind. Yeah.
And I'll ask the same question I asked Matthew earlier. When was the last time you sent a survey to your higher audience?
I knew you were going to ask that, and I do not censor. I like sometimes I do. Hey, which cover do you like? Which logo? That kind of thing. But I had a look at your Google form that you set up for this group, and I thought, well, this could be the perfect thing to send my email list and just get a bit more information about who they are and where they hang out.
Yeah. You know, often the simplest time, the simplest response to the question of how do I find out where my ideal audience hangs out online is to ask them. and it's obvious, but so few people actually get around to doing it. And, you know, I'm one that, you know, could always do it more as well. But I will say that some of the best ideas, the best things that I've ever created, the most successful things that I've ever created were not actually my ideas, or were not entirely ideas that were driven without confirmation first from audiences and feedback from the people that I'm, you know, creating for. All right, I want to. Are there any more questions for Rene before we throw in some ideas about how to better connect with audience and reach more of his ideal audience that's out there? All right, great. Who's ready with a few rapid fire ideas, and then we'll have Rene do some listening, and then we'll come back and see what connects with him. But Ian, sounds like you got something for him.
It's pretty much a suggestion that Matthew brought up. You have a Facebook page, but a Facebook group is more interactive. Those are actually two different things. I think if you bring your email list or the people who follow you to a Facebook group together, and if they're willing to participate, you can make it interactive. You understand? Maybe do some artwork. Try to make it interactive. So I think so that you can try to get an engagement, a one-on-one engagement with your readers. I think a Facebook group, it's a good way to do it. It's pretty much what a suggestion that Matthew gave. I think was it Matthew?
Yeah.
Facebook pages are good, but for more interaction with people, a Facebook group. But there's also a challenge at times. Facebook groups and like pages as well might be dormant. But I think it all depends on the content you put out there. I think if you're more interactive, if you make it a big deal, like as I was saying earlier on, if you make everything a big deal, everything should be a big deal about you. Understand? So if you make everything like an event, everything grandeur, I think you will get some people reacting to that. It might not be all 1,000 at once, but it will be something. It will be something. In Africa, we have a Facebook group in Nigeria in particular. Well, I'm not from Nigeria. There are mostly Nigerians there, though. The group is very interactive. It's actually one of the most interactive Facebook groups I've ever been on. We ask ourselves comic book questions every day, a lot of geek stuff, and you should make it personal. You should make things that touch people personally. You understand? Experiences that you both share in common. I find that to work a lot. When you share experiences that you and your readers have in common, and then build a topic around that. We do that a lot. Almost every day a week, but you don't necessarily have to be that consistent. But I think you should be consistent in keeping your readers or your followers occupied, getting them engaged, making it a big deal. You understand? So that's what I would say to this.
Yeah, and I'll reiterate, you know, here in 2020, status of Facebook, like the way I look at Facebook pages are there as a content repository and as a ad delivery mechanism. That's it. Like it's not for engagement. It's not for organic reach unless you're doing lives. Like sometimes lives actually do still get some push, but a Facebook post on a Facebook page is practically worthless unless you're paying to play and get it using that as a launch to deliver it out into the platform. Facebook groups are different though. That's where your community can interact with each other and can interact with you, and those does get preference in the feed. Not everything is going to get pushed, but so adding something like that for your fans, and I wouldn't do it. I would try to have an umbrella because having multiple different Facebook pages for every single book might be too niche down for where you're at and what you're creating. But for your whole world or the brand that is Rene, one group of insiders or whatever you want to call that can be a great thing to add, because what I've seen is the more connection points that you have with any individual fan, the more likely they are to back you. If someone's following you on Kickstarter and on your email list and in your Facebook group, like chances that they're going to back is so much higher than if they're just, hey, I followed one of his tweets on Twitter once, and so it sort of elevates that. Other ideas, Bitsy.
So I'm kind of thinking that, so you said you're spreading your outreach, you're getting to lots of different places, but like Tyler said, that they don't really push anymore. Like Facebook doesn't really push your stuff out there, so the Facebook group is nice. I think even if it's not a Facebook group specifically, if it could be a chat room or a forum on your personal website, I think a home base would be really beneficial. To be like, okay, I'm on all these places, but here is where you talk to me. Here is where you and I get into the nitty gritty and talk about my comics and get all nerdy with each other about my stuff. And then you can promote that and be like, hey, here, be it on a Facebook group or your website or wherever you prefer to hang out, be like, we are hanging out here. You come hang out with me. I want to hang out with you, so come hang out with me. Instead of being like, oh, I gotta go over here and hang out with them. Now I gotta go to Reddit. Now I gotta go to Gumroad, or not Gumroad. Wrong word.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. Like, so many different places.
I like that idea, and I think what you've experienced is that these things sort of go in waves. So while a certain platform might be really active right now, in a year or so's time it might not be. So I think I've experienced those waves on different platforms, and I guess maybe I just got discouraged when they peter out and think, oh no, I have to start it again from scratch. But so I started up a Patreon last year and got a Discord server happening, and that was active for a little while, and it's kind of flatlined a bit. But and the same for my webcomic 3 years ago. That was a thing, but not so much now. But just keep trying. That's the thing.
Yeah. Get them excited. Get them excited to be in a specific spot. I think that'll help. Mm-hmm.
Matthew, additional ideas for Rene?
I think I want to play off the idea of the I guess if you do the the form or whatever, the Google form, if you do something like that, one of the things that I think you were saying that you had a following with one of your comics and then you're doing another one and it doesn't seem to be getting traction. Even though your style may be exactly the same, maybe something about that content is just, it's not resonating with that particular audience, and maybe there's that other little audience you need. I would, when you send out that form, ask them who their influences are, or maybe their favorite comics. See if there's a difference. And if there is, let's say, for instance, the new comic, people like, you say, Jake Parker instead of, someone else, then maybe send Jake Parker a free copy of your comic and see if he responds, and maybe he'll like it and say, hey, I saw this really great comic by Rene, and suddenly you've got this influencer talking about your stuff. So look at what the people who are actually coming to the new comic are looking at and what they like, and then maybe find an influencer to help you boost that up.
Yeah, I actually had some success with that last year. Jason Brubaker and Cam Kendall both mentioned me on their YouTube. So that was a real boost to those campaigns. So that was awesome. Yeah.
Definitely. There's a book that just came out called Traffic Secrets. You can actually get it if you go to comicslaunch.com/traffic. I think it's one of those free plus shipping offers. But one of the big concepts that's taught in that is this Dream 100 concept, where, you know, who are the top 100 people or sites or podcasts or YouTubers that already have the audience and the eyeballs that would be ideal for what you're offering. If you can't, if any of us can't answer that question right now for what it is that we create, it's time to go do a little research project, and then systematically go through the process of making a connection with that person. And you know, you've seen the power of what someone sharing your work with their audience can do in a small thing. If you spend a little bit more time on just strategically being like, okay, you know, I'm over the next 5 years, every single one of these people is going to know my name, and I'm going to add value to their life, and they're going to add value to mine. And that's just the way it's going to be. It can be, you know, a game changer for you, and, you know, get in front of those people. And you can start by, you know, in the survey, you know, hey, you know, what creators, ask a question like, what creators do you back on Kickstarter or buy from on their online shops? Like, and that's your audience, people that have already, you know, tuned into you, but they're going to they'll tell you who else they're following, or, you know, who do you follow, or what shows do you watch, or, you know, all of those questions about where you should be showing up, they'll tell you. And it can be a little bit frustrating. I know Matthew said, you know, the reaction and the response to surveys can be a little bit low. You know, you got a 6,000 person email. If you get 1% of them to respond, actually, that's plenty. That's more. That's more info than you actually will probably need, and more leads to go down. I've also found that adding an incentive, it doesn't even have to be much of an incentive, but it could be a free preview, it could be a free comic, it could be a gift card to Comixology, it could be just something, you know. But adding just a little bit of an extra incentive that people get entered to win, or just as it's available at the end of the survey, really does boost survey participation. And some of the information that you'll get from those are pure gold. So those would be the two things that I would do is consider that Dream 100 strategy, and then, you know, rock a survey.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Any other thoughts or?
No, I just want to ask, what's the name of that book again? The traffic book?
Yeah, if you go to comicslaunch.com/traffic, I think it's called Traffic Secrets. But yeah, really strong book.
Is it available?
It's I think it's shipped.
Can I purchase a PDF copy?
I think it ships worldwide.
PDF?
I don't know. I think it ships worldwide, and I think it's on Amazon too. But yeah, you'll have to look in. But
that'll be the .com secrets guy, Branson.
Yeah, he's the guy behind ClickFunnels, which is a landing page and funnel builder, which is, you know, really good software. But any other ideas or things to throw to Rene? The one last thing that I wanted to point out for you, Rene, and another question that I might ask is, you know, besides comics, what else do you buy, or what other hobbies or things do you have for fun? Because I feel like some of your work really lends itself to games as well, and by having your core product, but also a side product, it can break you into a new category of people that'll be like, well, I'm not really a comic fan, but, you know, he's launching a card game. The card game looks cool. The art looks cool. And yes, of course, I'm going to take the package with the comics. So you're selling more comics and you're breaking into someone that wouldn't normally even look at the comics category. You could do that with toys or with other things. So, finding out what else your audience is spending money on. Are they spending money on prints like Matthew, or maybe they're not. But finding out what they're spending their money on, what they collect, what they're into, can help you get more ideas for what you can do to get more people like them.
Yeah, I know some people get into play mats. So D&D or trading card game.
Yeah.
Play mats. Yeah.
So awesome. So Rene, from this, what was most valuable, and what do you think you're going to take some action on?
Oh, look, it was all gold. It's hard to pin it down, but I reckon, just looking into that Facebook group kind of idea. I've kind of seen people do it, and I've participated in a couple, but yeah, giving that a go and diving into that. Surveying my audience and including an incentive. I think that's a brilliant idea, because I think I probably haven't done it yet, because I just thought, well, how many responses am I going to get? And if there's an incentive, and it doesn't have to be a big deal, like you say, that could be the way to go. And just asking them, what do they like? What do they watch? What do they buy? What do they read? What do they play? And what kind of artists do they like? Who, and getting on their radar, those artists and creators who are in a similar genre and style to mine, and who might eventually down the line maybe give me a shout out. Yeah.
Nice. So you still have a Kickstarter on that you're working on, and that's live right now in another week. So I'm actually not going to make you have to move forward on any of this because we wanted you to stay laser focused while the card is open and the focus is on the Kickstarter. But what's the very next action you'll take when you're ready to move a little forward on this, do you think?
Yeah, well, the very next thing is making a survey on Google Forms. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, there we did it. We did it, everyone. And it's funny to wrap up where we were, but I do want to reiterate, the power of even a small response. Just so you guys are all aware, about 4,000 creators got an email invite talking about this, and were encouraged to be a part of this session that we just did. And I think I got 26 responses within the couple hours that I left the thing open from out of those 4,000. But I think we can all agree, and those of you that were watching this at home can let us know. But this is a valuable session, and I learned a lot from it, and some ideas and about some new publishers out there, and some new options and some strategies and things. And so a lot can be done with even a smaller response to a big audience. So hopefully that translates, and you see that as well, Rene, and anyone else that decides to survey their audience. And everybody out there, if you haven't surveyed your audience yet this year, it may be time. Send out some surveys, find out what they're interested in. And I think that will really help everyone out. So again, we're going to make sure that everyone's links to everything gets hooked up inside of the comments of this, so the people watching the replay can check it out. And I want to just thank you all for your time and everything that you were able to share with us. We have, again, just as a quick reminder, if this is something that you all enjoyed, if the idea of a mastermind is something that you want as a part of your creative life in the creative world, I do run mastermind sessions every single month for a small group of creators, and it's called the Comics Launch Mastermind. There's an interest list, which is over at comicslaunch.com/mastermind, and I will actually be doing a live info session. I'll probably do it in this group and on YouTube as well, sort of same bat time, same bat channel on Thursday. And this will just be focused on all the details that you need to know about if you want to be a part of the Comics Launch Mastermind. So for everyone that's out there watching that and looking for a little more community and networking and brainstorming and this kind of stuff in your creative life, that's one thing that I offer. I also do hope we inspired some creators out there to go start their own masterminds or do this with creators in their circle or do this to expand. I definitely, I'm in masterminds myself, and I get put on the hot seat, and it's valuable. And now more than ever, when we are still social distancing for most of us, I do think the community inside mastermind groups, one of the things that's helped keep me sane over these past couple of months, and I think it's done it for some of our members as well. So hope you guys enjoyed this experience, and thank you so much to Rene and Bitsy and Ian and Matthew, and for everyone else out there, I can't wait to see what you all launch next. So thank you so much, and have a great night, and we'll talk again soon.